Welcome, friends, to a word of hope for Tuesday of Holy Week. I'm Father Andrew Carl Wisdom. You know, friends, some years ago when I was finishing up the last 24 hours of a retreat, the retreat master pulled me aside and said, "Now don't leave the retreat before it's over. Stay here, present, until the last minute. Sometimes God comes in the last 30 seconds. Well, sometimes you and I get to this point in our Lenten journey and we've grown a little weary and we might want to leave this seasonal retreat a little early. But we have to remember, sometimes God comes in the last 30 seconds. And this week, this most solemn of weeks, is what our Lenten preparation has been all about. In this week, the retelling of God's story is really the retelling and rediscovery of our own. We rediscover the same courage and faith and hope to face our daily sufferings, our constant calls to die to self, as well as those hoped for many resurrections in our daily lives that our Lord faced through his journey, ministry, mission. We're reminded of God's constant presence in the here and now when we open ourselves to it this week as we see God's presence in Jesus' time, in his person, in his ministry, working through him. And we do see that in today's gospel. It deeply troubled Jesus preparing for his passion, exhibits that courage in sadly predicting both Judas's betrayal and Peter's denial 3 times of even knowing him. How painful to him. But it must have comforted him to at least have the beloved disciple John right there by his side. It was to this disciple that he painfully confided that Judas would be the one to betray him. And as if that isn't enough, what do we have but loving, well-meaning, but shallow and impetuous, at least at this point, Peter, walking away from our Lord right at the point he needed him. He says glibly, "Oh Lord, I'll go and lay down my life for you. I'll go wherever you go." And we know how that part of the story ends. Friends, whatever our model of faith or lack of faith in these 3 figures given to us today that we identify with, Judas in his betrayals, Peter in his superficial loyalty, or John in his all-infidelity, let us remember to be spiritually present this week and allow our Lord to speak to our hearts and to remember he has something to say to us. But sometimes he doesn't come until the last 30 seconds. God bless your Holy Week.